Hi, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Hope you guys are doing good. So I'm back with another video. Today I'm going to I'm going to teach you how to make a uniform skirt, a secondary uniform skirt in Uganda. Yeah, when I was making uniforms, I realized that's a video I've never done, so I decided why not share it with you guys. And yeah, so let's get into the video. But before we do that, have you subscribed? Have you liked? Have you hit the notification bell? If you haven't, please do, and let's grow together. All right guys, let's get into the video right now. Yes, so in this video I'm going to show you how to draft it, but I'm going to make like a model, just not the exact sizes, because I realized I didn't have pattern paper. So I used these A4 papers. They're the ones I had at the moment. So they're the ones I'm going to use to make it's called what, a prototype? Yeah, I think. Like the small version of the real thing. So that's what I'm going to do. So there I'm just marking the waist, which is 24 inches, the hips at 32, and the length at 6 inches. Normally the length is about 26, 27, 28 inches, but here because my paper is small, that's why I'm going with length of 6 inches, but you'll still get the gist. So let's start with the front of the front panel. I'm going to draw my starting lines so that you get what I'm trying to do. I'm really sorry I used a pen thinking it would be clear, because I tried using a marker initially, but then it was too thick on the paper. Yeah, so I opted for a pen, but I think you can see what I'm doing. So here I'm marking the 6 inches for the length and the 1.5 inches for hemming allowance. On the skirt, the actual skirt, I used 2 inches for hemming allowance, but here because my paper is limited in size, I'm using 1.5 inches, but you're still going to get what I'm trying to do, and good thing I'm explaining everything, so just be patient with me. All right, so just join those the markings that you've made, and then those are my my vertical measurements. So remember, it's going to be on fold, so we're going to divide the waist circumference and the hip circumference by 4. So you divide both by 4. It's only the length that you don't divide by anything, but the two, remember, we only need 3 measurements: the waist, the hip, and the length. So yeah, so that arrow means on fold. That's what I'm trying to show you there. If you're doing it on your fabric, you're drafting on your fabric direct, make sure it's on fold. The front has to be on fold. So remember, yeah, that's also my starting point for the other side. So now I'm going to mark my waist to hip allowance. Normally it's 8 inches for the actual figure size. Actual body size is about 8 inches, but because here my paper is small, I'm going to opt for 4 inches. So that's 8 divided by 2, making it 4 inches. But if you're drafting it on the fabric, it has to be 8 inches or more, depending on on the size of your client. But the basic standard measurement is 8 inches. Waist to hip measurement is 8 inches. So that's what so imagine that's 8 inches. Yeah, so you get what I mean. So now yeah, that's my waist, that's the hip, and that's where the skirt length is. and that's the 1.5 inch for the hemming allowance or seam allowance, whatever you prefer to call it, but that's the hemming allowance. So now I'm going to mark my horizontal measurements. Remember, the horizontal measurements are all divided by 4. So waist divide by 4, which is 24 divide by 4. I got 6 inches. Then on the hip, that's it was 32 divided by 4, which is 8 inches. As you can see, 32 divided by 4 is 8 inches. That's what I'm going to mark. And then you mark your hip measurement on both the hip and the length and the hem. Like what you mark on the hip is what you mark on the hem and where the skirt ends is supposed to end. Then join with a straight line as seen. And then for the waist to the hip, join with a French curve to give it like a curvy shape. Remember, this is the front panel that we have started with. Then after that, I'm going to add my sewing allowance. Oh, so I decided to cut it first before adding the sewing allowance. I decided to cut off the edge. So now you see that's where our skirt actually starts from. It starts from that line that I had drawn. So now I'm going to add my sewing allowance. I decided to use 2 inches. 1 inch for ease and 1 inch for sewing allowance. Remember, keep in mind that Ugandan students tuck in their shirts on like underneath the skirts, so there has to be some allowance. You can decide to use 1.5 to 2.5 inches. That's like the maximum, depending on how the school regulations are, because there are schools where they want the skirts to be really big on the girls. Yeah, so but these ones were okay. They were like, just make something that's neat, that will fit the student well, not be too tight, and it shouldn't be too tight, and it shouldn't be too big. So this is just moderate. So I opted for 2 inches. And then above on the waistline, you go up by half an inch to act as our joining allowance to the waistband. Also, one more thing I forgot to let you know is when you're marking your waist to hip measurement, you're supposed to go above. You're supposed to include the 1.5 inch for the waistband or 2 inches for the waistband, whatever measurement you're going to use for the waistband. But I think I used 1.5 inch. So deduct 1.5 and then mark 1.5 on the waistline, and then go down to the 8 inches to mark the hip line. I hope you've got what I'm saying, though I didn't indicate it here. So now I'm working on the back panel. I started with my zipper allowance, and the zipper allowance I used these 2 inches. You mark 2 inches from your starting line, mark your zip allowance, and then mark the vertical lines, the vertical measurements, which is the waist to the hip, waist to the skirt length, and waist to the hem. So you mark that and join them as seen. So just join those lines. Remember, for this one, if you do it on fold, you're going to have to separate it, because remember, we are putting a zipper. If you decide not to, then you can do it when it's not on fold. But remember, they're supposed to still be two laid fabrics, because we marked our measurements divide by 4. So now we're just going to mark each and every. It's basic. You can like trace it out. The only difference on this is we are going to add a back dart on the back panel. We're going to add a dart on the back panel, only on the back panel, because at the front we are going to put pockets. So I didn't want to add they don't really look neat if there is a dart, so I only added the dart at the back. So here again, with our French curve, draw that line. So now I'm going to mark my dart. And to mark your dart, you get the midpoint of the front panel, of the waist of the front panel, you see? Yeah, which mine was 6, meaning my midpoint is 3 inches. And remember that measurement starts at what? At the line after the zipper allowance. Then you go down by 3 inches. My dart length is 3 inches and the dart width is 1 inch. So that means you mark half an inch on the left and half an inch on the right. And then just draw a joining line, the way you normally draw a dart. So this is like basically this is like drafting a basic straight skirt. This is not a pencil skirt, it's a straight skirt. So if you know how to draft a basic pencil skirt, sorry, a basic straight skirt, yeah, that's how you do it. Just add pockets. So there I've added the 1 inch of the dart. Remember, we're going to stitch our dart, so we transfer that 1 inch of the dart at the waistline and add it as allowance. Okay, not really allowance, but just add it there, transfer it, because we are going to need it. Because when you stitch that dart, the waist is going to shrink in, and if it does so, it won't fit the person. So it's better you add the 1 inch. You have to do that only at, remember the other allowances we added were 2 inches all around, then plus this 1 inch for that dart. So that's how it's going to be. Yeah, so now I'm going to show you how to draft the pocket. This is very easy. And these pockets make the uniforms look really, really neat. Different countries differ in the uniforms that they have. That's one observation I made. But ours, most secondary schools have these kinds of uniforms. So you can use this as your basic standard skirt, standard uniform, secondary uniform skirt. But for this pocket now, the difference is we are going to use actual measurements, actual size measurements, because yeah, pockets can actually fit on this kind of paper, unlike the real skirt panels. So here I'm using actual measurements, which is 9 inches length, 9 full inches, plus width. The width I'm using is 7 inches for the pocket. So my pockets are going to be 7 by 9 inches, and then you just join those lines together. Just join the lines that you have marked all around. Join them around. What am I saying? Okay guys, if you made it this far in the video and you haven't subscribed, please think about doing so. If you like the video, please do hit the thumbs up button. Don't forget to hit the notification bell, and also don't forget to share it to your peeps. Whoever is interested in learning how to sew, whoever wants to know how they make uniforms, this is the perfect video. So here I'm just adding a 0.5 inch allowance all around the pocket. You can go ahead and add 1 inch. You can add 2 inches. Sorry, you can add 0.5 to 1 inch maximum allowance, and then just join all around. Because remember, when the pockets are going to be on top of the front panel of the skirt, so we are going to have to fold them in, and before doing that you have to overlock them so that you do neat work. Yeah, we have to do really, really neat work, so keep that in mind. That's why I'm saying you can use 1 inch if you're going to do overlock, or 3/4, 3/4 inches. That's 0.75 inches. You can do that. Here on the paper I'm using 0.5 inch because that's what my paper can give me, but on the actual cutting of the pocket I used 1 inch because I had to do overlock, and then I had to fold in twice. So yeah, I used 1 inch, which was very fine for me. But here on the paper I'm only using 1/2 inch because that's what my paper can give me. That's like the maximum. So yes, just cut all around as seen. And we are not done yet, guys. It's not going to be it's not going to be like that, so just keep watching and see the last step. Yeah. So now I'm going to shape the pockets, give it some shape, and I'm going to give it 2 inches. That's at the top, 2 inches. Remember, you're marking that on the line without the seam allowance, on the inside line, the actual measurements. That's where we're marking it. So mark 2 inches there. That's where the hand is going to pass for the opening, and then mark 5 inches going down, like that. 5 inches going down and 2 inches at the top, and then so that's just 5 inches and that's 2 inches. That's what I marked. And then I'm just going to use my ruler to draw a joining line, as you can see. Just join like that all through the seam allowance. So that's going to be like our opening for the pocket. It's going to make sense when I cut it, don't worry, just be a little bit patient. So that's how it looks. Oh wait, we're not yet there. So that's how it looks, very neat. So this can be used for both the left and the right pocket, because remember there are supposed to be 2 pockets on the skirt. So just flip it over to make. So here I'm just showing you how the papers appear on the actual skirt, and that's how it is. As you can see, that's the actual skirt that I already cut out and overlocked. That's the front panel, and now I'm going to show you the back panel, which I already joined together. So that's the back panel, and while joining I left about 7 inches. That's the back panel. I left about 7 inches for the zip opening where I'll join my zipper. So that's the 2 inches for the zip allowance. Remember the zip allowance that we left? That is it. It's just that I already joined it. I think in my next video I should show you how to actually join the skirt. Okay, I'm going to do that in my next video. If you've not understood this, at least you'll watch that and get to understand. So that's the zip opening that I left, and that's where I notched my dart. You can't see it clearly, but I did mark that. That's where my darts are going to be. My 3-inch darts are going to be, and I'm going to stitch them. So that's the back panel. And then after that, so that's where the zipper is going to be. As you can see, that's the zip opening. I tried to show you how the pockets are going to be attached to the front panel of the skirt, but I think my camera didn't record that bit, and I realized later when I was actually done, and yeah, the sun had gone, the lighting was bad, so I couldn't redo it. But good thing is I'm going to do another video. I'm going to post a video next week showing you how to actually sew the skirt, how to join it and sew it, and show you the finished product. So yeah, you're going to face right sides facing of the skirt, join them, don't forget to hem them. It has no slit, so since it's a uniform skirt, so yeah, just hem it all around. And then I'm also going to show you how to join the waistband. Don't forget to join the dart, stitch the dart there. Yeah, by now I think you've already understood how it's going to turn out, but if you haven't, stay tuned. Next week I'll post a video showing you how I joined the skirt. I didn't want this video to be so long, that's why I didn't include it here. So that's going to be my waistband. It's already ironed, as you can see, with stiff. So to get your waistband, you do that after joining the skirt. When you're done joining, as you can see, that strip is very long. It's because I haven't joined the skirt, so I have to recheck my waist and confirm it's the right waist I have, waist circumference I have, so that I can use it on my waistband. So that's why I haven't cut it. It's still very long. So, but remember, we had our waist circumference at 28 inches, so you're going to add 3 inches, and the 3 inches are going to cater for the button or the buttonhole, and also join the seam allowance. So yeah, and then its length is 4 inches. I prefer to do a waist of 1.5.